What's up, everybody, and welcome to the live stream. I'm your host, Jesse Showalter. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, wherever you are at. I'm happy that you joined me on this possibly beautiful Friday, wherever you're at. Let me know if you're in the chat. We got Jalaluddin in the chat. Edgar's, Kunal is in the chat. Shakti is in the chat. Let me know where you're coming from. Hit me with your favorite Friday emoji. Mine's going to be a pizza slice emoji because I'm hoping to have a piece of pizza this weekend. That's my hope. Lots of cool stuff happening. Hey, good afternoon to you as well. If you are joining us on the live stream, this is a design live stream. So the plan of attack, the plan of action for the day is going to be to design a little something. Today we're going to be fixing a broken user interface card and just improving it, making it a little bit better. And then we're going to be doing a little bit of question and answer time throughout. And then at the very end, I have a couple portfolios that have been submitted. We're going to be taking a look at. If you want to submit your portfolio for the next live stream, all you got to do is go over to my Instagram. Follow me on Instagram, and then I posted in my Instagram stories a place for you to post your not only your questions but also your portfolio URLs or a piece of work you want me to look at. So I went ahead and did that. Hatim is a little Friday dab, boom, from Sudan. What's up? What's up? We got people sending some love from India, people from Uzbekistan, from Romania. What is up, everybody? That is exciting stuff. I'm just finishing my cup of coffee right now. We got some folks from California. All right, that's amazing. Hey, while you're here and you're telling me where you're coming from, maybe consider becoming one of these fine folks. These are my members here on YouTube. Shout out to Steve Smith and Krause and Ryan Kelly and Pavan and Becky and Craig Wells, Yoav, Steve, RB, Donald, Garrett, Dylan, Austin, QQ, and Anthony, Angela, Blair, and a whole bunch more. These are my members. They help keep the channel going. So consider becoming a member by hitting that little join button and becoming either a supporter or an insider. I would greatly appreciate that. That'd be lots of fun. Let's jump in to the stream. Let's go to my desktop. I'm going to be in Adobe XD today. We got Patricia coming in from France. Maybe she's got XD open. Side note, if you are one of my members, you get this exact starting file. Okay, this is the place we're starting from. You get this XD file in a link. You hop over to the community tab if you're a member, and you'll be able to download this file and get going with me. If not, open up XD and get your own Obi-Wan Kenobi photo, because that's, hey, we all need to do what we need to do, and Obi-Wan is here to do it with us today. All right. I was about to do an Obi-Wan Kenobi impression, but it's really not a good impression, so I better not. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Okay, people come from France. All right, all over the place. And if you have questions, feel free to ask those in the chat. And then when it comes for Q&A time, I'll make sure that I'm pulling questions from those chat, as well as some questions that I got off Instagram too. Okay, what is the problem with this card? This card is awesome, right? This card's great. This card's not great. This card's got a lot of issues going on with it. Okay, give me a designy term in the chat for what is wrong with this card, and I will give you 5 points. The points get you nothing except for fun and excitement. Give me something that's wrong with this card, all right? I'm gonna give you an example of a designy term. Maybe it's something like hierarchy, okay? I see hierarchy issues with this card that we need to fix, okay? So what do you think? What do you think? Masayu says, hi Jesse, I'm new to XD, just found out that the trick about resizing SVG using the shift keyboard from my video last week. All right, lifesaver, thanks. Yeah, it's good. I did that without pressing the shift key. Yeah, it'll get all wonky. You get weird stuff. Okay, people coming in. Ooh, somebody said color and contrast. Yep. Could be a little bit of a color and contrast issue. We might like this dark style of the card. We might be able to keep it, but we definitely are going to need to add a little bit of contrast. Card from the background, it needs to pop, as well as typography needs to stand off of this dark background as well. Somebody said typography. Yeah, that's going to be a big one. Buttons. The buttons are an issue. All right, we're going to have to fix some of the buttons. There's 4 main CTAs. If you don't know what a CTA is a call to action. And there's 4 call to actions. That's a problem. Good job, everybody. This is a great stream. You guys are on it. People say no contrast, no importance, no typography issues, arrangements, font, weight. Oh, man, we don't know what to focus on. I know. That's actually, can we just stop right there? That's one of the greatest statements right there. that covers a lot of the issues in one statement. We don't know what to focus on, right? When I zoom in, look at this. I look at this card. Let's say, for instance, imagine if something like this happened. Imagine if there was lots of these cards, right, leading off the page. Holy cow, this is what we call cognitive overload, right? I don't know where to look. It's too much, too mas, no bueno, okay? So we're gonna need to fix this issue of cognitive overload that we have here, and we're gonna streamline things a little bit. Let's try to, hey, good to see you too, Coding Nuggets. That's a very awkward term for me to say on this live stream, but good to see you too. Yeah, okay. Let's move over. I'm gonna laugh that one off and take a sip of my Legend Spicy Nootropic Performance Drink, which is my favorite drink of all time. If you want one, yeah, there's a code down in the description. You can check it out. It's my favorite. It's super good, spicy, amazing, good for my brain, makes my brain think, makes me think about how to get this thing to stop cognitively overloading on everyone who sees it. I'm gonna drag a new version of this thing out. I'm gonna switch me over to the side so you can see everything as we're doing it. What do we have? Let's talk about the things we do have here. Okay, we have a photo of Obi-Wan. We have Obi-Wan's name. We have kind of like a subtitle, who he is, Jedi Knight of the Republic, okay? Then we have a bunch of stats, and we have a huge description, and then we have 4 call to actions, okay? You're right, it's brutal. So here's the first thing we have to ask ourselves if we're fixing an interface. What is this interface element or component, and are all the assets inside of it necessary? Does it match what this component is supposed to do? This is supposed to be a card, right? You can debate that you could use cards for a lot of things, but I would say cards are what we call kind of outset information, right? General information, not knee deep in the trenches, everything in the kitchen sink and what your mama gave you. That's not what cards are supposed to be, in my opinion. I could be wrong. I could totally be wrong. I'm not the end all be all, but that's just my opinion. It shouldn't be everything. So here's the first thing. We have to start asking ourselves, what can we cut from this card? Well, I would say we don't need the description. I would say that belongs on a profile page somewhere, not on a card. I would also say that we have some stats. Do we need all the stats? Like for instance, likes. I don't think we need likes. Let's get rid of likes. What else do we not need? We have 4 call to actions, somebody said. That's something somebody should be able to access maybe in like a meatball menu up here. So what are the most important call to actions? Give me a primary, a secondary, and let everything else that's tertiary be tucked away somewhere that's accessible, not hidden, but accessible. Okay, so I think probably message is important, and I think probably follow is important. But like view, get rid of it. Share, get rid of it. We tuck that way in an icon or behind a menu or in an icon somewhere. Are you tracking with me? Okay. So far, so good. I like what's going on here. So now in my layers panel, I have shapes for my buttons and I have the little message for my buttons. Okay. We'll probably group those things together and make components out of these things just to be smart. Let's move this up. What do we have now? Okay. It already kind of looks better. It still looks like a yard sale. Everything's all over the place. But even if I gave you this, let's just do one thing to at least be fair, right? If I gave you this, would you not say that this is slightly better? Like your brain's not overloaded. Let's do that same experiment. Ready? Let's experiment. I'm going to pull a repeat grid by hitting Command or Control R in Adobe XD. I'm going to bring a whole bunch of these out. Now imagine these were all different avatars with different names and stuff. Even though each individual card is not really, everything's sized wrong. It looks like a yard sale. It's still unorganized. It's not cognitive overload like the other one was, right? Oh man, okay. We're making progress already then. Okay, so let's put everything back on our screen here. Everyone liking what we're doing so far? Do we tracking what we're saying? Sometimes you need to strip away, take away the excess so that you can focus on what's actually important. Okay, let's dive like one step deeper into what's important here. What's our primary action from this card? If somebody comes to this card, I want them to follow this individual or message this individual. You could make a case that either one of them is the primary action. It's up to you. That's fine. It could be follow, it could be message. Let's just say follow is, for our application, what we really want out of this interface element, this card. Well, then I need to create some distinction between my primary action and my secondary action. You tracking with me? This is the thing I want. Why is this thing competing? That's the question we need to ask. So we need to come up with a style. The first thing I'm gonna do though is let's just make our lives easier here. Let's get rid of these separate elements together. Let's group it together. And I think I actually just want, because my card has a little border radius, now I'm just gonna do a little visual nonsense. I just want a little rounded corner on my button, just a little bit. Also, there's bad contrast. I think I heard a lot in typography throughout. Let's help that by grabbing our text and bumping it up. We're using open sans. We're not changing the text. Let's go from regular to semi-bold and just give it just a little bit more, just a little more contrast. That's nice, okay? Then we're gonna take this whole thing. Let's, in our layers panel up here, let's name it button, like that. And then let's hit Command or Control K and make a component out of it. Boom, I'm going to bring another one out. You're like, well, Jesse, now we're right back where we were to the same issue. That's okay, watch. We're gonna go to our component states. We have a default state. Let's do another state called outlined. Okay, I don't know why it does that in my computer. So now we're working on not the default state, but the outline state, right? You can have same component, multiple states. Let's create a new state for this thing. Let's give it a border. First, let's come in and save this swatch. We like this swatch. And then let's give it a border of that swatch. And then let's take away the fill, okay? And then let's just ramp up the border size a little bit. Could be that simple. That's a little bit chunky for my taste. I'd like to go back down to 2. It could be that simple, right? Are you tracking? So now look, we have the default state and we have the outline state. So we want that one to be the primary. Over here, we want this one to be message, okay? And why don't we make that one our outline state? Okay, so we need to make sure this one says the different thing as well. So M-E-S-S-A-G-E, boom, 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 like that. Okay, that's a little bit better, isn't it? Okay, let's grab our buttons. I want to group them together, and then I just want to center them in my card. Make sure they're centered. All right, let's go back. Now, what does your eye get drawn to? Follow me. That's right, it gets drawn to the follow me button. It's the thing that's standing out. But hey, secondarily, if you need to message someone, message that person. Let's get it, right? It's there. Okay, cool. Let's keep going. Now that we've tackled call to action issues, let's tackle hierarchy, okay? This is, again, back to what we were saying earlier. This is outset information. We don't need everything in the kitchen sink. So we ripped out that description. We ripped out one of the stats because we didn't need it. There could be more stats somewhere else, but let's keep the 2 main stats here on the card. And then we have a name and a subheadline and a photo. Okay, let's do a little work here. Let's do a little layout and hierarchy work. I think the photo for the size of this card could be way bigger. I think it could. Why don't we take Obi and just make Obi a little bit bigger, okay? We're using a photo, so I'm gonna double click on the photo because it's kind of masked inside of there. Boom, and make sure that, doesn't that already, presentationally, doesn't that already look a little bit better? Look, I'm just moving it down, giving it some padding inside of my card. Doesn't it already look better? It does, I think. I'm just gonna balance a few things. I'm thinking later on, right? I'm probably gonna put like a little meatball menu up there. So let's give it some space, maybe a share icon up here. This is how my brain is working. Now let's make it stand out. I'm gonna give it a white border this time. Boom, look at that, okay? Now our image is popping, right? It's contrast off the background, no matter what color the image is, because Obi might have a dark image that looks similar to the background. We need a little bit of something, okay? All right, pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. I think the name needs to take precedence, don't you? I mean, we're talking about Obi-Wan stinking Kenobi. It needs to take precedence. So your first instinct might be to jump up this font size, but what we might actually need to do is create a base font for everything else to kind of go off of. So let's say this is 18. That might be a little bit too big for our stats. Let's go down to something like 16. Or maybe let's keep it up at 18. And then for a subheadline, we want this to be really small. Let's go down to something like 14. And let's go up to something like 26, 28. I don't know, okay? Something like that, okay? Now we're gonna create contrast here. I think, first of all of these being on regular I think that's a bad idea. I think when you go white text on a dark background, it needs to punch just a little bit more. So we'll just step up from regular to semi-bold and look at the difference that makes already. I want you to just look at this card over here. Okay. The stats are the same size typography, same font selection for the typography. Even when I zoom in real tight like this, it's not great on the eye. Whereas if I come over here, just bumping it up to that semi-bold or that medium weight gives it a little bit more distinction, right? A little bit more clarity and contrast, okay? But now we want to create contrast between this headline and this subheadline, the name and the title. Okay, so what I would do for that is, let's see, this, I would actually take this and bump this up even more. Let's go from semi-bold, let's go to bold, and then let's take the subheadline and bring the opacity of it down a little bit. Now, this is a balancing act, right? We don't want the subheadline to disappear. We want there to be good contrast. We want it to be good contrast for accessibility purposes, but we do want to create some contrast between the two. We want them to be linked, so I don't want this thing to be way down here. I want it to be like my name and then my position, almost like I had a little tag on my desk, a little plaque, Jesse Showalter, UI UX designer, right? Watch this. Here's a great example of what I'm talking about. Jesse Showalter, full stack designer. See the contrast between the two? This is constant design principles, right? I want you to look at my name first, and then I want you to look at my title, my self-given title, all right? So we're doing the same thing here. Obi-Wan Kenobi, Jedi Knight of the Republic. That's a little bit smaller. Okay, great. That's looking kind of good. Liking it so far. There's not a whole lot more we need to do to this card. I'm going to be really honest. We're just going to do a little bit of balancing work here. Now, I could spend a lot more time and I could make sure everything's locked in on a grid. I could use like an 8-point pixel grid, like a Google Material Design grid. I could all sorts of stuff, but we're just, how can I improve it quickly? But before we improve it anymore, why don't we do a little question and answer time with Jesse? All right, it's question and answer time. It's time for me to take your questions. I'm looking in the chat for questions. Let's see. A few of the comments from our design that we're working on today say things like all the buttons look the same. It needs active, inactive states. Absolutely. And that your eyes immediately went to the stats. So hierarchy will definitely help out for sure. I do have a few questions while you guys in the chat are thinking of your questions. I got a couple questions from the Instagram where you could follow me and you could ask me questions. So let's check out some of those questions right now. This question comes from pkrvcs.levant. It says, what should I do to find a job as a junior UX designer? What should you do to find a job as a junior UX designer? You should do case studies. You need to have case studies, and you need to, it's going to be hard as a junior UX designer if you haven't worked on a real project. One of the best things you can do for a case study as a UX designer is to show metrics of how this has actually improved the company. It's improved return on investment. It's improved traffic. It's improved revenue. That's the best thing. Now, when you're doing concept work, you can't necessarily do that. And so you could, as a concept project, say, I estimate that this would improve click-through rate or conversions through this funnel X amount. I estimate. That's fine. You can estimate it. You're doing a concept project anyways. No one's going to hold that against you. So I think you need to have a couple concept projects where you estimate what the value of the work that you've done in it. And it needs to have big, beautiful, we're going to look at some of these portfolios at the end. Hopefully they have good examples. I'm not sure, but big, beautiful imagery up front, great stats. And then you can do the whole case study. Here's my role. Here's the challenges. Here's the problems to solve. But if it just starts out with, here's the problem, very boring. All right. So you need to have great case studies that are engaging and exciting. That's what you need to have. Let's ask another question. Actually, and he's in the chat. This is Jalaluddin. He says, what inspires you most? I want to take a moment and just say thank you to Jalaluddin, because he actually he posted something of, I think from my last live stream on his Instagram of me misquoting his name or mispronouncing his name. I might still be doing it, but I want to say thanks for coming back, even though I may have mispronounced your name, because you're the man. I appreciate you. Okay. He asked, what inspires you most? I'm going to say what inspires me most. Man, that's a great question. First off, I'm going to say God inspires me most, right? I like to read my Bible on a daily basis. That inspires me tons. It inspires me to seek to be more like Jesus. It inspires me to be the man that he's created me to be. And once I have that in view, I start to look at all the other things around me. Like my wife inspires me, my kids inspire me, my friends inspire me. Now you want to talk about design specific stuff. From that identity that I have, I then get to look at my like the things that spark interest in me. Like I love magazine and editorial layout. I love architecture. I love sculpture. I love the way that like the masters, the master painters used color. I find inspiration everywhere that I look. So that's all the places that I get inspired from. Here's another question from inside the chat. It says, how do you make your UI really pop? Ooh, that's a good question. That is a question that a client would ask. I want to make my UI or my logo or whatever. I want to make it pop. How do I make it pop? Let me think about that while I drink my drink. Okay. How do you make your UI pop? I think some of the things we're talking about today actually makes a UI pop. What actually makes a UI pop is governing your UI. Now that's like govern. What do you mean govern your UI? If everything is on fire, like our 4 call to actions we had, then nothing's on fire. If everything's important, then nothing's important, right? So by governing and saying, here's the things that are actually important. You govern it. You say, nope, that can't be important. Nope, sorry, not all those things can make their way into the primary actions. Nope. So you are protecting your design, because really good design is invisible design, right? It's design that people don't even know and don't even realize they're loving and using. It's there. It's just so subtly implemented and beautiful because it's governed, it's controlled. Maybe that's a better word. It's very controlled. It has self-control, okay? So I would say that's actually how you make your UI pop, not by making everything pop, but by subduing everything, controlling everything, and letting the little things that need to pop. All of a sudden that becomes very important. Boom. Oh, wow, look at that, it pops, right? That's how you do it. So make it count when it needs to count. That's what I would say. Okay. How do you always get your concepts to work out in XD? Because I'm a student who follows design. Yeah, I mean, for me, it just comes from, and this will be the last question, we'll get back to work. For me, it comes from just problems that I run into. So if you are studying design right now, you're studying how to be a problem solver, aren't you? I think so. We want to solve people's problems, and we do it through a visual means, right? So what you should really be doing is solving your own problems, right? The reason I'm redesigning cards on this live stream is because recently I was redesigning some cards and going, golly, these just don't look good. How do I make them look better? And so I went, oh, I'm solving my own problem right now. And then I'm just sharing it with you. That's the coolest thing about the internet right now, is that if you are figuring out how to solve problems, there's somebody out there trying to solve those problems as well. Or you also could solve those problems and share them out there online, right? So be a helper. That's the whole reason I started my YouTube channel. That's the whole reason this live stream is happening right now, because I want to be helpful to people around me and going, I got problems. Maybe other people got problems. I'm gonna solve my problems in front of people. That's it. That's the whole thing. It's not crazy. It's not magical. It's not special. Just be a problem solver. Okay, let's jump back into our design. Actually, I got to do one more. Actually, no, because I think the next thing we need to do, yep, look at this. The next thing we need to do to, I think, improve this is, I think our stats are good, but wouldn't a little bit of iconography help them out? So I think I found this the other day. I have it, I always keep it in my Dropbox now. I have this really great, I got it from the UI8. I think that's the website. We'll look at some websites afterwards and see if I could find this website for you. Yeah. It's the Iconly 2 library. It was free. Boy, do I love free stuff. It has a license agreement. We're not using it for any of those purposes, but I do want to just zoom in and grab a couple of these little icons. Now, what are we trying to, yeah, UI8. That's where I got it from. Okay, let's go back over to our design. We have followers and posts. I think we need something for followers and posts. Okay, so this looks like it could be a post. I don't know that's like Instagram. Maybe it's not like a photo post, right? And this looks kind of like stats. That could be good. What is good for followers? Oh, look at that. Now here's what's great. You know, if you need icons, I encourage you to find an icon set like what I've just found. Doesn't have to be this one. Find something that's an icon set. You know why? Because if you look at all these, watch, when I let's see, can I zoom in here? Yeah, let's zoom in. When I hover over these icons, beautiful icons, by the way, simple. Do you see the similar artboard size or the actual constraints of these icons? Right? They're all the same. They're the same weight, same stroke weight, same size. So it's going to feel a lot more consistent if you use something from a set. So I encourage you to use things from a set. I'm going to post these guys in here, and then let's see if we can get a hold of them. Boop, 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 doo. And bring this guy in. Boop, doo, 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 doo. I'm going to grab both of them. I'm going to fill it with white so we can see it. Oh my gosh, this is going to be great. All right. They also have, not only do they have consistent style, but they have, or like stroke weight and everything, but they have a consistent style. Like everything's a little bit rounded. Everything's a little bit kind of bubbly. And that matches our rounded corner buttons. It matches our rounded corner cards. Everything's a little softer. It's not rigid and harsh, right? I'm going to take these icons and butt them right up against the left-hand edge of my text. And then I'm going to pop, 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 pop 5 pixels over, give them a little tiny bit of space. I'm going to grab each one of these and I'm going to group them together, boom, just like that. So now we are grouping our icons and our text together. We're going to make sure that everything is lined up. And now I can grab these as individual little guys and I can line everything up, boom, on my card. Now we had room for a third stat. We didn't maybe necessarily need to kick out the third stat, but this looks nice. I think this is looking a little bit nicer. I'm also going to group together my name and my title. I'm just going to work on some spacing here a little bit. Yeah, that looks kind of nice. This is looking kind of, look how much space we have in this stinking card, right? Compared to everything that's crammed in there. Everything just seems like there's room all of a sudden. I tell you what, I'm going to take all of this, move this down just a little bit. And now it's time for our meatball menu. Let's do that. Watch this. Boom. I'm going to press copy. And I'm just going to copy a version of Obi-Wan. How funny would it be if we did an Obi-Wan meatball menu like that? Just 3 Obi-Wans? That'd be really funny, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to make them white. And we're going to shrink them down to be about 8 pixels width and height. Let's go about 6 pixels away from each other. Bing, bing, boom. Group them together. That's a meatball menu. Nothing fancy here. We just want it to be visible. All right. Yeah, I think those icons really help down there. That's good. Okay, I think this is a little bit better. I like it. I'm super into it. You might argue that maybe the image is a little too big. That's fine. Now, I mean, you can play all day now. Like, do you want these things to be a little closer? Do you want them to be stretched out? You can do you now. But now, just the contrast, the hierarchy, everything's a little bit more put together, I think. Now, let's do one more thing I think would be fun before we go, which is, why don't we do a little interaction, okay? So this is our card. Let's just call it our card. I'm going to make a component. Oh, you know what I'm going to do before? What happens when somebody clicks on the meatball menu? I think they should have access to a lot of the other actions that were there before that we kind of like kicked out, right? So here's what we're going to do. This is our background, right? I'm going to duplicate and put another one on top. I'm going to bring the opacity down to something like 97. See how we can just kind of see through it a little bit? Okay. You're like, what are you doing, Jesse? What are you doing? I'm going to take the name. I'm going to come up here. I'm going to paste one of those above. And then I'm going to do what were all 4 of those, actions. We could follow. We could message. We could view. Let's just go view profile. Let's go share, something like that. Okay. I'm going to give this a little bit more line height, just like that. Put those right in the middle. And then let's make a really quick X to close. Where was our meatball menu at? It was like right about there. I'm just turning my opacity of my card down. I'm gonna hit my line tool because I want to put my X right where the meatball menu was so it kind of appears. Let's make it white. Let's bring up the width of this thing. We'll do a little butt round cap on that thing. Copy and paste another one. Flip it around. Hi-yo. Group. We got a little X. I'm going to name it X to close right there. Let's bring the opacity of this thing back. We had it at like 97, right? It's at 97 because I want you to see that this little thing popped up over it. The original stuff is still underneath. That is a massive, massive X to close we need to shrink that sucker down. This is why you should always zoom in and out of your designs, because I just made that thing gigantosaurus when I made it. All right, so X to close is right about there. Let's grab all of those things. Boom, we're gonna call that overlay, like that. Okay, cool. So here's what we have. We have a card that has the overlay on. I'm gonna make a component out of my card. Boom, okay? The inner component has been converted from main component to instance. That's fine, whatever. And then, oh, I see. Yep, that's Adobe XD just did us a solid, right? Because we had that main component of the button inside. It was like, you don't wanna lock that inside of another component. You'll never get back to it, homie. So it helped us out. Now, we have our default state. We're gonna want that default state to be with the overlay down. We just messed up big time. Boom, boom. Let's do another one of these like that. Let's bring it out like that. Haha. Okay. We messed up with our background, but that's okay. So now look, we should be able to why can't we do this? Aha. Okay, so we should be able to turn the opacity of our overlay on and off. Right now, it's off, right? The opacity of it's down. That's good. That's what we want, because now we want to create a default state called overlay, where we come into our default state and we just crank it up just like that. Look, now we have default state overlay, default state overlay. Now, a fun thing we could do, you want to be spicy, is let's take the text and just move it down like that, okay? Now, why would you do that, Jesse? Here's why. Because now we're going to come in and go to prototype mode, and we probably need a tappable area. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. Yep, we're going to need a tappable area, I think. Let's do it. Tappable area. Really quick. Bump, bump, because we need to be able to tap that meatball menu, because there's actually an overlay. We could actually fix that by dragging it down like that. We could do something like that. That wouldn't, nah, that's not gonna be good. Sorry, I'm figuring things out as we go. Do you ever notice that? That I don't have all things together? That's okay. I'm not supposed to. Tap area like that. Take the border off. Take the opacity down. Boom, we're good. It's an invisible tappable area, okay? We should have that tappable area now on both of them. Look at that. Let's just stretch it out and make it bigger. Yeah, it's good. So we have a tappable area now that we can tap and prototype from. Boom, let's go to prototype. Boom, let's grab our tappable area. Let's just hit the prototype, not drag it and link it anywhere. We're gonna say on, tap, auto, animate to which state? To the overlay state. Let's do a little snap and let's make it pretty quick, but not that quick. Let's make it like 0.5 seconds for the duration. No delay or anything, everything's good. Boom, then we head over to our overlay. What are we gonna do? Same thing to go back to the default state, snap 0.5 seconds. Okay, let's go back here. Let's prototype our thing. We should be able to pop. Oh, but it didn't move our text. So we need to go back in and fix that really quick into our design. Because when we change in Adobe XD, whenever you change something on the master, it's going to recursively change it on every other state that you have, which is actually a good thing. You actually want that. So we're gonna move it up like that. Cool. Let's try that again. Now we have our card. We should be able to tap, whoop, and we get a couple of options that just fade up and into view. All right, and that is our prototype for the day. Man, I think that looks way better. It's not the end all be all. We could probably still, like I said, do some work to this thing, but for the most part, I think we did all right. I think we did all right. Oh, somebody else said white space improved this card drastically. I would agree. I would agree. It's functional. It's usable. It matches. I mean, I think everything matches the style. It's succinct, and it doesn't look like a yard sale with no contrast. So that is the design tutorial for the day. Let's jump over and do some portfolio reviews. But before we get there, let's do one more Q&A with Jesse. Mark Sloan says, dude, I love it. Thank you. I appreciate the encouragement. I like it too. I think it's a good card. I literally solved this problem. I had a client the other day, or like potential client, who asked me to like consult and look at their work, and I had a bunch of cards, like user interface cards like this, and I was like, it needs some work. And these were like the things that I saw. So I was like, we should do this on a stream. It'd be lots of fun. If you have questions, pop them into the chat. I have a question right here on the Instagram from, let's see. Ooh, here it is. Oh, nope. Never mind. I don't have any more questions on the Instagram. They have to be questions that come from our stream. All right. So, oh, here's a good one from James Kagai earlier in the chat. He said, arrangements, font weight. We don't know what to focus on. Oh, sorry. That's not a question. That was a statement. Yeah, that's good. Anybody have questions? I've learned so much. The MP3 was very cool. Okay, cool. That's great. How to learn web design in 2021. That's a great question from Zafor. You don't got to put a sad face in there, bro. We're all learning. We're all growing. Here's how I think you should learn web design in 2021. You should saturate yourself with free online content. That's the first thing you should do. And as you're doing that, you should copy. So saturate and copy it first, okay? If you're not used to web design, then you need to watch videos. You need to listen to podcasts, read tutorials and blogs. You need to learn the grid. You need to learn color. You need to learn all that stuff. And then as you're learning it, you're looking at inspiration, people that you admire and respect, Dribbble, Behance, portfolios, and you want to recreate what they've created. A really actually successful thing to do also is to get things like UI, like interface kits, tear them apart and try to put them back together. Save a version of that interface kit, right? Tear it apart and then put the thing back together. You'll learn a lot from that process. Why do they have this here? Why is this color like this? Why is this grid here? How do I keep things on the grid? What's a baseline grid? So on and so forth. So you'll be learning all those things. So saturate and copy. And then don't stay there though. You don't want to copy for too long. Then you need to start defining, who you are and what you like to do. And maybe not necessarily a style, especially in web design and interface design. Maybe you have a style, but I would say in web design, it's better to be multifaceted inside of the vertical kind of space of web design. So that's what I say. I say saturate, I say copy or reproduce, and then I say define yourself. Those are 3 steps off the top of my head. Okay, how to get different UI design ideas of different styles to practice. I mean, watching streams like this, the Adobe Daily Creative Challenge is good. Following very different people in different spaces. So go on, like Dribbble and find, designers from different nationalities, from different ethnicities, different genders, different background experiences, catering to different like niches, and do those steps I was talking about before. Reproduce and recreate somebody who's really into making yoga inspired design. Follow somebody else who's very into doing like education and nonprofit stuff. So just follow these paths and challenge yourself. Or here's the easiest version of that. Okay. How to like differentiate UI design ideas. Do things you've never done before. Like for instance, I just created dark interface cards. I never do dark interface cards. I always do white and light and bright kind of like interface cards and design elements. If you've never done a dark interface, design a dark interface today, right? If you've never used black and red inside of your palette, use black and red together. You're going, ooh, I don't like those. That's because you're against red and you need to figure it out. You need to figure out how to make that work and all blend together well. There's a way, you're just not used to making it work that way. If I was to say, hey, I need a dark interface where the contrasting color or the primary color is orange, go. You're like, oh, that sounds horrible. No, you've just never done it. There's people out there that can make it work. It's just not you right now, right? So make it you. Okay. All right. Dimitri says, I'm actually a self-taught UI UX guy for the past 2 years, and I couldn't agree more. I've copied a lot in my first year. Haha. I love that. I also love the haha at the end. That was good. Woo. Okay. Ramon, I think, ra.mo.n. You have a question. I'm about to answer it after I take a sip of my spicy ginger drink. Man, I love this drink so much, but I probably shouldn't drink it while I'm trying to answer questions because it makes my mouth water because it's so it's so spicy. Okay. He asked a question. How do you handle working with multiple people when developing a product, web or mobile? How do you delegate work or maintain a consistency when there's multiple people having different styles and ideas? Okay. That's a great question. That could have a lot of different answers. It depends on your scenario. How do you handle working with multiple people? You might have to clarify for me a little bit. Are you working on a team? Or are you leading the team? Are you working on the team, just part of the team, or are you leading the team? Because if you're leading the team, you need to lead the team. Every team needs a creative director, a leader. Design by committee, it never works. You need somebody to say, this is the direction we're going. I need everyone to get on board with this vision. And if you're not on board with this vision, then either A, I as a leader am off base completely and I shouldn't be the leader, or B, you don't want to be on this team and follow direction. So it could, I'm not really sure like which one you're talking about. People having different styles and ideas, that's fine, right? Different styles and ideas are great. But at the end of the day, there is also such a thing as the right solution for the problem. I'm not trying to say every design, every client or project has a unicorn solution. It has to be this one. But what I am saying is, at the end of the day, you do have to pick something. There could be multiple right solutions in design. But for instance, if you're sitting around with a group of people and designers and you're doing an organic green tea brand and they go, I want to do bold red and grungy black, you're like, maybe. Why do you want to do that? Because it's probably way more common to use calming colors, organic colors, greenish colors, natural colors. So why do you want to go bold and red? Oh, I want the brand to be very bold and stand out in the market. Okay, we can talk about that, right? Or maybe you just are on hype for working with black and red and that's all you want to do right now. No, that's not a good idea, bro. So I would say get down to start asking not opinionated questions, but problem solving questions like, well, why do you think that's correct? How do you think that's going to affect the brand, the product, the user? Start asking user focused questions like that, right? The worst thing we could say to a client if you're working freelance is to go, do you like this? Do you like this? That's the worst thing you could possibly do, right? We should be saying, what will your users or customers think about this? I don't care what you think, even though you're the one paying me. I care what they think because they're going to make you money. And that's going to make you happy and like me, right? That's what we should be asking. Okay. So I don't know. That's a bunch of, I'm just ranting on that. What is that drink? Mark Sloan asks. It is called Legend. It is a spicy ginger nootropic drink. So nootropic, making my brain work better. And then it's spicy. It's vegan. It's natural, low calorie, no sugar, prebiotic, nootropic. And it's filled with all just good stuff. Like it gives you energy. It's green tea, caffeine. So it doesn't get you jittery. It's nice. It's really good. There's a discount code down in the description if you want to try it. It's amazing. They're blowing up, and you need to get on it because I think they're sold out right now. They're so good. Let me see. Yes, it is a Legend spicy drink. Did I miss something? UI cards can be used in app and websites. Yeah, you can use cards. Cards is a common interface pattern in websites and mobile, right? In web and mobile. So for instance, you're looking at like a desktop. Go to LinkedIn right now. You'll see cards, right? And they're outset information, just like we're talking about here. They recommend somebody to you to connect on LinkedIn. They're not offering you that entire person's bio. They're going to give you a card. Or if you go into a dating app, you swipe left, swipe right. We're talking about a card interface element, right? Swipe on that card, swipe on that card. They're all over the place. Cards are very, very common. Okay, I think that's good for question and answer time right now. Let's get to portfolio review time. I wish I had a drum roll sound effect in the middle of that. This first portfolio that was submitted on Instagram, if we're ever doing a live stream, that's where you go to submit the portfolio, is by Aliyah Zenati, UI UX designer from Irbid, Jordan. And let's see. Got a really cool style, eclectic style going on here, but you could definitely see early on maybe playing with, experimenting with other things, but as she's grown as a designer, she started to kind of focus in on what she likes, which seems to be interface design. I love that. I think this is what we all should be doing, is as you grow, you start to focus in a little bit more, okay? Let's look at this health and wellness app by Aliyah, okay? Cool interface. Let's see what's here. Okay, we got a couple different screens to kind of look at, and there's a prototype we can launch here in a second. So let's check her out. Let's go full screen on this bad boy. All right, cool. So interesting, kind of like, you know, this can be kind of a popular style right now, like the inverted card, kind of exposing elements underneath. A really nice bottom anchored navigation. From what I can see, if I was to zoom in even more, the only thing I would say is like maybe your bottom navigation looks a little crunched, looks a little crammed, and I would have gone probably a little bit lighter, like maybe an outlined version of icons on this bottom navigation. I like the little cutout, but if you really zoom in tight, I'm gonna be really nitpicky because that's what you submitted your portfolio for, to give you constructive feedback. The cutout, it widens at the edges more than the button. I would want that locked in, like really nice and kind of consistent with the shape. Also, yep, you got this kind of fun main call to action color, like creating here, liking here. So a good use of color. Your secondary color is kind of highlighting interesting areas. Yeah, it's nice. I like it. I like the contrast between the dark upper and the white lower. I'm not a big fan of this pattern in the background. I could have done without it. I think that it doesn't do anything or add to. It might even be taking away from the design itself. Really nice, but nice work. Nice use of iconography, I think. Good hierarchy here. I maybe pump that up a little bit, but you know, it's debatable. It's nice though. Let's go down and see, you know, more of this. I love the presentation of this as well. So I love the real world kind of like mock-up inside of a hand. I love the nice, vibrant, fun color. And then we get this interactive prototype. How does it work? Does it work nice? Can we, oh, look, we can slide and things move. Nice. I like it. Here's the only thing I would say is, you know, to see everything kind of like, I don't even know what the right term is for that, like rotate and roll, kind of looks like old airport shutters from back in the day. I'd want to see, it looks a little clunky, I would say. It makes me think like, this would be great if it was like a steampunk app and gears were turning and stuff. That's what it reminds me of, is seeing all the gears turn. So the one thing you could do in Adobe XD is just to add some opacity to things as they're exiting and entering the next scene, right? So for instance, 1500 points, down to 14 to 13. I don't need to see it roll that many times down to 12. I just need to come here and see the new value appear or populate. So maybe simplifying that could be a good thing. We can turn our toggles on and off. That's nice. Doing that with probably component states. Really nice. Can we, and that's good. That's good for the prototype. I like it. I think it's nice work. Let's look at one more really quickly. Here's another interface piece, really clean. Maybe a little overly sized on the left-hand navigation. It's always interesting when you do presentation stuff like this. I think it's a style. There's nothing wrong with it. The floating kind of panel like this. I'd like something on this, in this interface, to be anchored. So kind of actually tied into the edges or the borders. I'm also not the biggest fan of the way that this thing bevels in, but that's probably just opinion. That's just me. For the most part, everything's laid out really nicely. The colors are nice. It's fairly subdued. I'd probably subdue this as well. And maybe I'd go, if this is like an off-white, I'd probably go a white left anchored navigation with like an accent color for each of the icons. That way my focus is actually on the interface that I'm currently on. That's a kind of like an interface tactic that I would encourage you to take. But that's a little bit from Aaliyah Zanotti. I think good work. The work is good, the presentation is good, and the evolution of you as a designer also very good. Nice job. This is Paolo, Austria, product designer based in New York City. New York City! What's up? Okay, I don't know why I did that. I just felt like doing that. Let's see, we got a little, like, kind of an old school, like, not old school, I don't want to say that, that's mean. It's not old school, it's nice, it's modern, it's clean. But kind of, I like the left-hand anchored kind of description, fixed kind of area over here, and then we can roll through the different things, the different projects. Let's click on this one called Palette. This is what I like. I like stats of any kind. We talked about this, and these are not necessarily business stats, but they are some kind of stat. Look at, okay, hold on. This is all the things for me right now. This is all of the things. I really like this. The presentation at the top, imagery, beautiful. Title, a little bit of a description, right? And then I get some sort of stats down below. Hey, this is how long it took, but it's too long, don't read, right? It's the TLDR up at the top. I like it, right? 20 interviews, 8 usability tests, 5 iterations, 4-week time frame. Woo! I'm like, man, Paulo is smoking this thing. He did really good work, and it's presented nicely. Then we have the ability to, fast link down to the areas. Again, too long, don't read. Maybe I'm a hiring manager and Paul is looking for a job, and I'm like, I want to know what you found. Look at that. Write down. And then I get this cool fix. This is a great format for a case study. Once I pass that little area, the navigation, it's a case study navigation. I've never seen this, and I like it. Holy cow, I like it. Oh, cheers, Paulo, for that little integration. I think everybody should have this, especially if you're a UX designer or a UI designer and you want to do case studies. Something like this would be very helpful to let me know where I'm at in this process, because sometimes they can just look like they feel like this long blog post, right? Now, one critique I would have is I love that he's tracking it, and it kind of almost makes up for the fact that it's visually uninteresting as you scroll down the page, right? The top, let's go back to the top, was just so amazing. But as you scroll down, it lost a little bit of the fire, but this kind of helps, it makes up for it, okay? But I would love to see that fire carried down the page. Look, I love little integrating. Yeah, a little prototype action here. Try the working prototype. Love it. I think it's great work. The work itself is beautiful. It's well thought out. It's very complete. We're showing the whole process. I would just have loved to seen the prototype, the presentation portfolio of this work been a little bit more filled out. That's the only thing I would say. Let's see if we got a similar thing here. I like this format a whole stinking lot. Yeah, it's very interesting. Again, it's a little bit drab. So this is actually, Paulo's the kind of person that I would recommend going and looking at some amazing Behance portfolios that have really beautiful integrated long layouts. Take the time and actually design the portfolio presentation of these. And I think it would be like, if that was the case, this would be one of the best portfolios I've seen in a long time, if that was the case. It's not, so it's very high up there though, because of some of the things you've added, but it could be way better. All right, we're kicking over to Aaron. Joel.dev. This is an interesting one, a developer's portfolio. So let's do a quick load animation on this again, because it kind of loads up. This shows me that Aaron Joel has a little bit of humor, because he just gave me a hello world statement in his portfolio. I like it. It's good. I'm into it. All right, so you're a developer. All right, start Aaron Joel. Okay, so we got like a little bit of the things there. All right. Who am I? Aaron Joel, a name that I'm not even going to try to pronounce. I'm so sorry, but it's a beautiful portfolio so far. All right, front-end developer and UI designer. All right, okay, we're going to cruise down. We got things fixing on the top, some animations of your curriculum vitae. I never say that word right. Now, let me see. My wife just chatted inside the live stream, told me I'm handsome. That's how much she loves me. Hey, this is... Hold on. I know this is outside of the topic of design, but my wife loves me a lot, and I love her. I just want to throw that out there. Just want to let the world know. Okay, jumping back in. Here we go. That's so funny. Okay, so here's the thing: is this curriculum, like Vita or whatever you want to call it, it starts with you starting high school and then leaving high school. Like, if you're gonna put it in there, have big moments, right? Like maybe it's a and it doesn't even need to be got hired at Facebook. It doesn't have to be something like that. But maybe it's like a moment in time where you learned something big. Maybe, right? Maybe you're like, learned that I wanted to be a designer. Pow. I'd be like, wow, that's cool. And if I saw it, and then in 2014, did my first free client project and learned more than I ever had in school. I'd be like, oh my gosh, what a journey. So if you're going to show me something and you don't have big job moments, then how about big personal moments in your pursuit of of your career, right? You have some references, okay? These projects that I could, so we could see the code and we can see it live. A React weather app. Okay, let's try it. Austin, Texas. Do I get search? Okay. Austin. Okay, so I don't put in the state, just the town. Austin, US. So you're just pulling some API. It's like an API exploration, right? So you're gonna tell me the different things for my weather area. This is a recipe app for vegan recipes built with React.js. So here's the thing. At this point, I would say you are a junior designer, junior developer, right? This is not to be cruel, right? This is me being constructive. I think you're on a very good path, and you seem like you're young, so it's very impressive, right? You're doing great work. This is all great work. The slide out now from the side, it's, if you were like an experienced UI designer, you'd be like, we could do that better, right? So this tells me, hey, work on your interface skills a little bit, right? You want to build, that's a thing that Aaron Joel probably wants to build, okay? And then also when I go to our little weather app over here, and the interface is very bare. It's not very clear. When I start typing in, and this is gonna like tip me off as a developer, right? I start typing in Austin, I get no feedback, I get no recommendations. So this is a basic API GET request, right? That's what it's telling me. And if I put the wrong thing in, I get no error message. And so there's some things that Aaron Joel probably needs to grow in. He needs to learn a little bit more about interaction design, about states, error states, success states, suggestions. So he's on a path. He's learning a ton. I think that Aaron would benefit from presenting his work. So anybody out there that's like Aaron, you're a junior designer or developer. And you should present yourself as such, right? I'm a junior designer and developer. I'm looking for opportunities. Here's what I've done. I'm willing to learn. Therefore, every case study, everything you do should be about your willingness to grow and learn and what you've done. If you don't have a lot of job experience, that's fine. It could be just like this and focused on what you know and what you're learning right now and what you're looking for to continue that path. I think that's a healthy space to be in. So yeah, that's all I got to say about that. But great job to all these portfolios. That is it for the day. We're running towards the end of our stream. I want to thank everybody for joining me on the live stream today. Thank you for everyone who submitted questions and portfolios and your comments and amazing emojis in the chat. I love hanging out with you guys. It's been a lot of fun. Hey, check the description down below if you are interested in following me online, signing up for my newsletter. Actually, speaking of portfolios, if you're interested in building your portfolio, I have a free ebook that I made. It's like a little PDF about portfolios. And you can find it down below, a link that just says sign up for my monthly newsletter. You'll get it there. Or you can sign up in the top right hand corner of my channel. There's some little links to social media, also newsletter. Sign up for my newsletter. You'll get fun stuff from me, free stuff, cool stuff, and you'll know when streams like this are going live. So also consider becoming a member. That could be super fun if you join me as a member. And until I see you next time, I hope you guys are designing amazing things. I hope you're making amazing things. And I hope you're having a fantastic Friday and a blessed weekend. Take care. See you later. See you next time. Peace out.